Do you ever feel like you are always distracted? You always feel like there's a need for constant stimulation, for pleasure, for something new, for instant gratification. Do you ever feel like you are always distracted? You always feel like there's a need for constant stimulation, for pleasure, for something new, for instant gratification. I can derive sources from porn, from video games, from scrolling through YouTube shorts. It feels like your mind can't focus on one single goal. We have this one chemical in our body called dopamine that is constantly regulating this. People think that it gives pleasure. It's not necessarily about the pleasure that you receive, that your dopamine feels, okay, detects this is pleasure and we're going to release a lot of dopamine. It's about the anticipation of pleasure. You know for a fact that you are going to get a reward and you're going to be rewarded. And this anticipation is what causes the dopamine. And this dopamine is what leads you to go on this loop of wanting more and more and more. So take a look here. What we can call this is the dopamine loop. The dopamine loop is something where you anticipate something, and this is where the dopamine is secreted in your body. This is where dopamine plays a role. And this causes a craving because this craving is something that urges you to take that action, right? This craving leads to an action, and the action that you do will get a reward. Now, this kind of loop can run on for 100 times, 1,000 times. With this modern world where there's so many things trying to bring you down, trying to get your attention, just like that news, porn, video games, shorts, social media, messages, notifications, emails, and all that. Every single time the anticipation comes in is because of the cues that are around you. The cues that are around you. So I'm going to share some methods that are going to focus on this key thing, on how to control each of the sequence here so that you won't fall victim for this dopamine loop. The most important steps of dopamine detox is self-awareness. Self-awareness is key because this is when you have to self-acknowledge things, you have to kind of realize that, okay, this is hitting my mind. Okay, I am tempted to do certain things because most people go through this. They go through life with the dopamine hit, dopamine loop, stimulation, and all that without any consciousness. Not all dopamine is bad, and also not all dopamine is good. So you have to know when that dopamine really hinders you. And you can tell by signs of lack of focus, lack of motivation, clarity, and you'll feel lazy or sluggish because these things are very common and you know these yourself. You know, but you just didn't realize it all the time. And also, one thing about self awareness is people never really find where this comes from. They just know that, oh, I feel distracted, I feel lazy, I feel like I can't focus, I feel depressed and everything, but they never ask for the source. And those are the cues, the subtle cues. What tempts you to do this? And what is the motivating factor or the temptation that sends you, lures you into doing these certain hedonistic acts or sluggish things like scrolling shorts, scrolling through social? What you can do is write these down, write it down, basically. Take a paper, take a notebook, I would prefer, and write all of these down. And as we go through these, I'll tell you how you can apply these. Number two is prime your environment. As I said, cues are everywhere, the cues and the sources. So once you find the source of the problem, you go to the environment and see where you can limit exposure to cues. This is very important. Limit the exposure to cues. And once you know how to limit your exposure to certain cues, you create what's called friction. The friction to bad habits will increase. Okay? So you don't want these bad habits, you being distracted, to be easy. You want to make it as hard as possible. So it can be very simple things, such as, let's say you scroll a lot on your phone. Now, what you can do is you can limit your environment to no phones at all. Go into a bedroom and you can go do something else. You can do this by stacking good habits too, which brings us to number three. But I want to linger on number two a bit. So it's by the little things that you do, you prime your environment up for success. You prime yourself up for success. So it can be choosing a quiet room where there's no distractions, no TVs at all. Choose a library to study instead of at home where you have access to TV, access to your phone, access to your game station, everything that is at home, or people that talk to you. So it's very important that you choose the environment that leads you to success or increases your productivity. Now let's talk about number three. It's stacking the good habits. And so this can be very easy. You want to start off your day with good habits because this gives you a chain effect. So when you do one, you feel better. It's like, ooh, okay, let's continue towards the next one. First, journal, write down the list you want to do. What I do is usually I just go do this to-do list for the morning. Number one, brush teeth, and number two, just do a 5 minute stretch routine. And you see, after I do the stretch routine, it feels so much better. And I can focus and calm my body down, break a sweat, and I can go on to do whatever it is I want. So it creates that chain effect. So in this journal, you have to learn to replace one bad habit. Once you replace it one with one good one, then you can stack up more and more and more. So, and also one thing with stacking habits as you got to be specific. And how do I mean by that? The time, the location, and what you're going to do. Let me give you an example. You can say, oh, I want to exercise in the morning, but then, oh, what time? What time do you want to exercise? That's the thing. Where do you want to exercise? Okay. So be specific of your goals or what you want to do. And once you're specific, you have a clear mind. You don't have to, oh, throughout the day think, oh, should I do this? Should I do that? I said in the morning, it is 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. I have no idea. Maybe I might postpone it a little bit. You don't want to have that doubt of mind. You want to be clear. And number four, boredom is key. In the case where our minds are constantly stimulated, you do need boredom. Okay, another phrase you can say, people that don't like boredom, okay, let's say just self reflection. You can call it that. It doesn't have to be boredom. It's just a word that I give. Self-reflection, peace, or solitude, whatever you can call. The things that you can do to cultivate this kind of boredom, or as some people might want to say it or phrase it, solitude, you can do this by going into a room for just 10 minutes a day. So go 10 minutes into a room every day. The first exercise that I do recommend people. And this is not easy, 10 minutes, right? But here's the catch. No phones, no people. It's just you alone in the room. Doesn't matter how small it is. That doesn't have to be a room. It can be a classroom. It can be anywhere quiet, free from distractions, no noises. Or if there's little noises here and there, it's okay. But mainly it's just you. Can you do it? 10 minutes in your thoughts. And people will think it's easy, but it's not. It's kind of like self-confrontation. It will be awkward. And you'll be like, oh, what am I supposed to do here and there? Things you can do is to question yourself, ask yourself, what are my problems are? Where am I in life? What can I do to improve my life? How are my relationships? How are my hobbies? How are my goals? How are my studies? How are my work? I mean, how is my work? And you can ask so many things. So 10 minutes will be up. It's just you and your thoughts doing self-reflection. Another one is you can go on a walk for 10 minutes, just you alone around the neighborhood. Just walk, just enjoy the scenery. Well, because you don't need certain things like what you say, constant stimulations. You don't need constant stimulation. You don't need all the dopamine. You don't need too much pleasure. Sometimes it can be a 10-minute walk. It can be just a 10-minute, 20-minute session with your partner, just sitting down and just in solitude, doing nothing. A lot of people don't have that. And it's very important that you cultivate this boredom and solitude in your life because it's very key. It's very key to resetting your mind. Once you reset your mind and you know that, okay, I need to wind down and I need to collect my thoughts. It gives your mind a greater starting point to progress onto your day or whatever it is the day after, the day tomorrow, or later on. And so, number five is, I think, also important. It is to find your purpose. I'll just end this off by saying that I think you need a purpose in your life. And this purpose doesn't have to be solid like one pathway, it can be so many pathways. So think about whatever aspect your life is, relationships, goals, your own satisfaction, where you want to be in life, your kids, perhaps with your partner, the relationship. Think of the purpose of why you live. Why are you living? And what is it you're living for all the aspects? And once you have a singular purpose, a clear purpose for everything, this is what will fuel you towards clarity in life. And number six is the 5 minute rule. The 5 minute rule is very key because you want to start small. Everything applies with the 5 minute rule. Prime your environment up for success. How do you apply the 5 minute rule? Essentially, what the 5 minute rule is to ask you to start small increments. So you have to start slow. You have to start small. Start with one habit and start with a lesser time. It doesn't have to be 5 minutes. Start with 10 minutes a day. People say 10 minutes a day. Oh, what's that going to do? 10 minutes a day. I need hours. No, you don't need hours yet. You want to start small. Once you start small, this will lead to consistency. And then you can increase the time of you doing those habits. Start with 5 minutes a day of exercise first, and then see how you adapt. Because you don't want to start 2 hours if you are a beginner. That doesn't make sense at all, right? All of this, let's sum it up. Self-awareness. Notice what feelings you have when you're distracted or when you feel like you can't focus. Note it, write it down. You can journal it. And then it's very important to know the source of where that feeling comes from. What tempts you, what distracts you, your phone, your environment, or maybe it's the people. So this is very important. Number one is what sets the foundation. And then once you know it, prime up your environment. Notice in your environment what things, your messy table, your TV on the screen, okay? Maybe you can change the room, change the location, remove certain things, remove exposure to the bad cues that lead to the bad habits, increase the friction to doing those bad habits. Number three, stack habits good. But before you stack good habits, you have to learn to replace the good habits. You have to learn to replace the bad habits with the good ones, one by one. Okay, don't replace the entire day. Don't expect perfection. Do it slowly. Once you do it slowly, you execute it. And this creates a chain effect or a ripple effect. And it will continue. Once you do a good habit, you feel good and you'll continue doing better habits. And be specific of the habits, the location, the time, what you're about to do, how long. Number four is boredom. You need self-reflection and solitude. You need time for your brain to rest, to wind down, so that you can reset your brain and then you can focus back. You don't need constant stimulation. Your brain also needs rest and a reset. Number five is finding your purpose in life. What problems do you have in life? How do you want to better your life? And the 5 minute rule is what can be applied to all. Start small and don't expect change to occur so quickly. I want you to start small, all right? I want consistency over perfection for everybody here. This is very important so that you don't burn out in the long term. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys in the next one.